evening. Well, what a week it's been if you're a Reading fan. Despite being 150 to 1 to win promotion back in December, the Royals marked their return to the Premier League on Tuesday, thanks to Michaeli Ledgerwood's goal, giving them that 1-0 win over Nottingham Forest. And cue scenes of wild celebration at the Medeski, with Reading back in the top flight after a 4-year absence. Yes, very well done to Brian McDermott and his players. A phenomenal effort, dropping points in just 5 games in 2012. And we'll reflect on that a little later in the company of Steve Claridge. With promotion and relegation issues coming thick and fast, of course, at this stage of the season, here's what else is on the show tonight. Southampton were hoping anything Reading could do, they could do just as well. They faced Borough at the Riverside, knowing that a win would see them march back into the Premier League. There was also plenty to play for down at the bottom. A win for Bristol City against Barnsley would save their bacon and condemn Portsmouth and Coventry to life in League One. Speaking of League One, the only guarantee was that someone would be relegated today. We'll bring you a roundup of all the action in a frantic day at the sharp end of the table.
And we're in League 2 to see whether Swindon Town could get the point they need to put their return to League 1. They've already had one crack at this at Aldershot during the week. Today, they travel to Gillingham.
So Reading promoted. The big question on Saturday was, could Southampton join them in the Premier League next season? Well, this was the top of the Championship table going into the weekend with just 2 games left for each side. West Ham aren't playing until Monday night, but Southampton knew that a win at Middlesbrough would be enough to put them 8 points clear of the Hammers and secure a second successive promotion for the Saints in the process. Commentary comes from Lawrence Herdman.
From the ashes of administration, Southampton now stand on the brink of a Premier League return. A Saints victory on Teesside wraps up the second automatic promotion spot after Reading crossed the finish line in midweek. But Middlesbrough's faltering playoff challenge is now akin to Everest. Too many home draws, not enough goals. Borough need 2 wins and a helping hand elsewhere. Well, Borough are set to revert to a 4-4-2 formation. Goalkeeper Jason Steele's been sounded out for Olympic selection. Barry Robson makes his last Riverside appearance before heading to the MLS. And 2 former Southampton players lead the Borough attack. Australian international Scott McDonald and former Saints Academy player Lucas Jukovic. Well, it's as you were for Southampton. The same starting 11 on duty at Peterborough in midweek. Bartosz Białkowski returns to the bench. Ricky Lambert is the hottest shot in the Championship. 3 short of 30 goals for the season in the league. He's right up there. The last player to achieve that was Martin Chivers when Saints were promoted to the top flight in 1966 with Ted Bates. Here's Butterfield. Hammond. 2 Middlesbrough players getting in each other's way, and onside here is Ricky Lambert, and he squares it, and Southampton have taken an early lead. Billy Sharp is just a cut above the rest at the moment. It's his 7th goal in the last 7 matches, and there's no better finisher in the Championship at the moment than Billy Sharp. Still helpless, Hines couldn't get there, and what a cool finish from Billy Sharp, and what a start this is for Southampton. This time Haroun is onside, chance to cross, Haroun's ball in, excellent defending by Southampton, but Jose Fonte got a foot in, still on, Robson goes for goal, and travelling high and wide. It was an excellent stop initially from Fonte, who nearly collided with Kelvin Davis. It was laid back for Barry Robson, who went for power, and it was always angling wide, but what good defending that was. That's a good run by Robson, and Robson goes for goal! That wasn't very far away, and it was his midfield partner Bailey that found him. Didn't quite get his head over the ball, didn't force a save from Kelvin Davis. The Saints of Southampton just need to keep it tight until Tony Bates whistle for half time. Here's Robson, it's a good delivery. Hoivel strong, and the shot is into the back of the net from distance, and Nicky Bailey has equalised for Middlesbrough completely out of the blue, and the player who suffered playoff heartache with Charlton may have rescued Middlesbrough's fading playoff dream. Slight deflection off Richard Chaplow. It was a volley on the left foot, and Davis couldn't get there. It dropped out of the air, and it just clipped the back of Richard Chaplow's thighs. Into the final seconds of the first half at the Riverside. An onside here, and into the back of the net, but the whistle had gone against Jukovic. Well, a grimace on his face. I think he's onside. It was an incorrect decision. Jukovic controlled it well and buried it past Davis, and the goal should have stood. Lallana had an opportunity to cross with his right, maybe. Oh, he's run out of room. Fox. Clever pass. Nodded down by Fonte. Ooh, bouncing awkwardly. Lambert had taken off his toe and smashed over the crossbar. What a chance for Billy Sharp. Well, Lambert floated the initial cross. Again, it was the physical presence of Fonte. Lambert's follow-up. It fell to Sharp. It was a gilt-edged opportunity. And through the middle here is Lallana, and Lallana's tripped right on the edge of the penalty area, and there's a good decision by the referee. Lallana fell inside the box, and well, it's a cool head from the official. He's being surrounded by Middlesbrough players. Oh, it could be a big call by Tony Bates, the referee. It's Lambert for Southampton. It looked as though it was going to hit the back of the net. More often than not, Ricky Lambert finds the target. Not on that occasion. We're into the final quarter at the Riverside. Middlesbrough have to win. Southampton have to take 3 points to gain the automatic promotion berth. The first grabbed by Reading in midweek. Strong challenge in the back by the big Dutch central defender for Southampton. McMahon for Middlesbrough. And it called Kelvin Davis into a push around the post. On target, no, it was maybe just going wide. Fonte was tangling with Lukas Jukovic, and has the referee called the Southampton defender back? He has, and he's given a free kick right on the edge of the Saints penalty area, and to rub salt into the wounds, Jose Fonte has been shown a yellow card. It was McMahon's floated ball in towards Jukovic, and well, Fonte was holding the upper right arm of the Middlesbrough striker there. Is it Zamama? Zamama curls it, and it's into the back of the net, and Marouane Zamama has maybe been the party pooper for Southampton's promotion aspirations. It's a Moroccan piece of magic. It was a delicious free kick, and Middlesbrough's playoff dream is still just about alive. Up and down and beyond Kelvin Davis, and West Ham United supporters are for the moment confident that maybe Sam Allardyce's team can join Reading in the Premier League. Gulli de Prado from distance, not a bad effort. It had Jason Steele backpedaling and fancied his chances. It was coming down, that was close. The yellow dream this afternoon has turned sour for Southampton.
We knew it was always going to be a challenging game here because, as I said before, Middlesbrough played some good football. We didn't capitalise on the start that we had. Obviously a goal that we've conceded bang on half time. We always look at the goals and we think we can do better at them. We started well again in the second half, had opportunities. The big turning point is going to be the decision where Adam Lallana's through, and the referees decided just to give a free kick, and we haven't put it in the back of the net.
Hopefully it'll be a good week for us. It could have been a flat week, but it's a good week. We're still alive and kicking. We've got to go to Watford and win, which of course is not easy. They've got a very bright young side, and that'll be a difficult ask for us. But I think Cardiff going to Palace, I think, is also a very, very difficult ask for them, and it should be an interesting weekend.
Next week, Coventry at home, St Mary's, 32,000 people. What more do you want?
And that result means that Reading have won the championship, so very well done to Brian McDermott. It caps what's been a great week for the Royals, and we'll talk about them a little later when we see how they fared on Saturday. As for the game at the Riverside, Steve, hugely entertaining game, and not surprising because they both had so much to play for.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, real hammer and tongs sort of stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it was, as you say, very, very watchable all the way through. It was nice to see Middlesbrough get a result at home because they haven't been great at home. I think, you know, out the top 10, they've come up short out the top 10 by a long way. So that was nice for the home fans to get a result, and also, you know, as we said, a good game of football as well.
Now, with the score at 1 apiece, the main talking point: should Middlesbrough have a man sent off at that stage? I mean, Seb Hines had been booked 5 minutes earlier. Should he have been given his marching orders for this challenge?
Well, it's a challenge from behind, and it's one of those where you really do need to get the ball. Unless you run the risk of getting sent off, and obviously that's exactly what he's done. I think he'll probably consider himself a little bit lucky to have got away with this one, considering where Lallana is and where the challenge is made, and he clearly doesn't get the ball. I say, in that situation, you're probably expecting a yellow card.
Incredibly, the referee, Tony Bates, has only issued 2 red cards in 38 games. I mean, you don't see leniency like that these days. As for the winning goal for Middlesbrough...
We just did.
Yeah, well, we did, yeah. As for the winning goal, Middlesbrough's from Zamama. I mean, that was something special, wasn't it?
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, for him, it was good because it was the centre of the goal. And if you look at this, Calvin Davis is centre of the goal. The ball doesn't go in the corner, but because he can go either side, Davis has got to stand in the middle to make sure that he can try and get to the ball to his left or to his right. And by doing that, obviously the pace and the elevation does him. But it's a fantastic finish, great goal, and worthy of winning a game like that.
So where does this leave us then in the race for second?
Look, I don't think it changes too much. I mean, look, Southampton might have done enough already. You know, like here is that they probably have. I mean, Leicester away for West Ham isn't easy. Southampton, start the season. I'm saying to Nigel Adkins, tell you what I'll do. I'll give you a relegated side.
Yeah.
You're at home.
Yeah.
A draw might be enough, but certainly a win will to get you in the Premiership. What do you think he'd have said?
I think he would have snapped your hands off.
Exactly.
Right, well, as for the bottom of the Championship, there were 2 issues still to be resolved. At the start of play, Doncaster, we already know, will be playing in League One next season. They'd be joined by any 2 from Bristol City, Portsmouth and Coventry. The Robins' fate was in their own hands and knew they'd be safe if they could beat Barnsley, sending the Sky Blues and Pompey down in the process. Adam Pope talks you through the action at Ashton Gate.
On a 6-match unbeaten run, Derek McInnes' side are hitting form at the right time to complete the survival mission handed to him in October. Keith Hill's Barnsley are safe despite just 2 wins in 16 games, but he wants to respect the integrity of the division while fielding a strong side. City make 2 changes from the draw with West Ham. In come Albert Adoma and Martin Wolford to right and left wing respectively. Yannick Bolasie drops to the bench, whilst Khalifa Cisse misses out with a leg injury. Barnsley also make 2 changes, with former Robin David Cottrell and Lee Collins dropping to the bench to be replaced by Stephen Dawson and lonely Huddersfield striker Callum Higginbotham. All the way forward. He's missed Graham. There's in the end a turn ball towards the post. It was a clever effort in the end, but Gherkin was always wise to it, you felt. Once the ball had missed Andy Gray, the shot came deflected off the left boot and then comfortably saved. Dawson with a drive. And Gherkin was scrambling across his goal. Well, he saw the whites of the post, didn't he? Wasn't too far wide, but once again, Gherkin not too troubled. Then we're into Scoos. The tap instead into Wood. And Scoos is through. Scoos with a chance to open the scoring. And has the Bristolian secured championship status for Bristol City. The local boy has left it late in the season to score his first 2 goals. 1 against West Ham. And now, has he got the all-important one to make sure that Bristol City manager Derek McInnes completes his mission of survival? Cole Scoos puts Bristol City ahead. Bristol City 1, Barnsley 0. Great touch from Gray. He finds Higginbotham, who finds him again. Gray will look for him again, and Higginbotham is given offside as he was racing towards the edge of the area. Great movement between the two though. Great receiving it from the youngster, and he looked to be well onside. It's Adoma. Oh, he's like a sprinter away from trouble. Stead's waiting and they're looking for Steads. And then they're claiming for a handball. And here's the handball appeal. Adoma delivers in goes Stead, it's Stephen Foster, and then they're saying a handball against McNulty. Would find Stead. Loses possession to Brian Davis in with the chance. He's given offside as he tries to go round the keeper. Interesting to see it again. He says no. He was wrong last time. I tell you, that's a tight one again. Coming off is the man who in a week has scored 2 goals, one against West Ham United and possibly the one that has confirmed another season in the Championship for Bristol City. Wolford. Switch wings at the moment, and there's the fly over Adoma. He's been caught. Yeah, I think the assistant referee, Amflet, just signalling that maybe he was held back as he looked to go round his man. So Adoma just held back somewhat. Wolford to deliver. Bristol City looking for a second. Doyle with a headed play, and a penalty has been given as Doyle headed away. There's a pull on the shirt. Pull down. It's McNulty who's been penalised. And Darren Dedman giving Bristol City a glorious chance to double their advantage. Stead ensures a second goal and steers Bristol City towards the Championship for another season. The fans' player of the season fittingly crowns off the day with a goal from 12 yards out. It may have been a gift, but they'll accept it. Stead unerring from 12 yards out. Keeper goes the right way, but that was unstoppable. The Robins will be bouncing in the Championship next season. Adoma. Higginbotham ran it long. Adoma, so quick, so live, so dangerous. Wolford arriving, so Stead as well. Lops for Stead. Stead, chance for a third. What a brilliant save by Button. Stead denied a second goal. Superb, electrifying move. Adoma at the heart of it. Knew where he wanted it, Stead, got it, set himself beautifully, but what a brilliant save from David Button to keep it at 2-0. So the noise building up inside Ashton Gate. The goal from Cole Schoos in the first half and an early penalty in the second. And even more so as Jim O'Brien slaps that one and wishes maybe he could rub that memory out of his mind altogether. Fontaine, captain, launches clear, and Darren Dedman blows the whistle, which tells you that Derek McInnes, having been offered his mission in October to secure survival, delivers for the Robins. And John Stead scored the second goal that put it beyond Barnsley and leaves Bristol City in the Championship to add to Cole School's first half effort, then precipitates the pitch invasion. They are delighted to stay up. We are staying up, they say, at Ashton Gate. As the red-shirted Robins are surrounded by equally red-shirted supporters. What scenes at Ashton Gate, and John Stead, crowned the fans' player of the season prior to kick-off, rewards them and himself with a vital 6 of the season from the penalty spot.
The remit we came in was to try and keep the club up, and through a lot of hard work and perseverance and effort from the players, we've managed to do just that. And today it wasn't easy. We knew it wouldn't be easy, and but we managed to get the job done. A clean sheet and 2-0 up, and I thought we were comfortable for the last 20 minutes or so of the game. So delighted to get the result, and there's no real enjoyment. Actually, I'm fighting, staving off a relegation battle, but that's not for now. We want to make sure we have a big close season and try and get good players in to add to already good players here, and hopefully, as I say, this time next season we're celebrating a bit more than just being staving off relegation.
There's been a lot of successes this season, one of them retaining our championship status, so we look forward to next season, but it's not something to celebrate. But during the cold season we've got to make sure that we don't suffer the consequences of the form that we've been in since the turn of the year.
Having played all around the country, what are these fans like?
Well, I've seen at the end there, we all got mobbed at the final whistle. They've been fantastic, and when we've really needed them, these last couple of home games, they've come out in force and supported us right to the end.
For us to move on, it was important we kept that championship status, and the players, just when they needed to get themselves in a fantastic run. I think the last 10, 11, 12 games, the amount of points we've managed to accumulate would suggest we would be better than our position, but this poor start we had to the season has meant that we've fought a relegation battle more or less from the first kick of the ball, so we don't want to get ourselves in that situation again, and it's important we have a big summer, recruit well, add to the good players here, and hopefully we can achieve a bit more.
So Portsmouth didn't know it, but nothing they could have done against Derby would have made any difference, as survival had been out of their hands anyway, and Bristol City's victory negated anything they could do. With news filtering into Fratton Park that Bristol City were a goal up, matters got even worse when Jake Buxton headed Derby in front before the break. Pompey were putting on a spirited performance, and they could have been all square had Dave Kitson been able to keep his shot down. Michael Appleton's side continued to press. Next up, it was Scott Allen's turn to be frustrated, his effort coming back off the bar. Derby very nearly doubled their advantage minutes later. Jamie Ward's free kick, well kept out by Jamie Ashdown. And with 74 minutes played, Pompey lightly tinkled rather than chimed. Luke Varney's clinical finish was his 6th of the season. But instead of pressing in search of a winner, Portsmouth very nearly then fell behind immediately. Steve Davis's header kept out by a brilliant tip-over. Then to compound the home side's misery, Jason Pearce met Ward in the box, and the visitors had a penalty. It seemed Portsmouth's tumultuous season was only getting worse. Davis converted and Derby ran out 2-1 winners. Pompey's relegation to League One now confirmed.
There was almost an inevitability that at some point Bristol City were going to get the points that they needed to obviously stay up. It would have been nice to win the game. I thought we did enough to win the game, or we certainly did enough not to lose the game, especially in the second half, the performance that we put in. But yeah, I mean, like I say, we're a little bit frustrated and obviously terribly disappointed at the fact that, you know, we've been relegated.
Coventry's final home game of the season became their final game in the Championship. News of Bristol City's first half goal at Ashton Gate punctured hope early on, although Cody McDonald's second half effort gave home fans some belief a miracle might still be possible. But Doncaster had no intention of going down quietly. They deepened Coventry's gloom in the final 10 minutes. Richard Keogh fouled James Hayter to concede a penalty. The defender was duly shown a red card. And Hayter picked himself up to score. Coventry's grip on the Championship was loosened even further. But the Sky Blues kept battling. Martin Craney's effort seemed to sum up their afternoon and their season. And their fate was sealed 3 minutes from time when Doncaster scored again through Simon Gillett. League One now beckons for both next season. The jeers of the home supporters only grew louder when the final whistle confirmed what many had feared all day: relegation, even if they had one.
A bitterly disappointing day for us, and it's something that the season's something we need to learn from. We need to regroup, we need to freshen up, and we need to come back stronger than what we have been.
I thought I could come in and try and keep them in the league. I haven't managed to do it, but I'm going to lick my wounds and I'll come back fighting, and we've got to rebuild a team, rebuild a club, and let's try and take the club forward.
So that completes the picture then at the bottom of the Championship. So Coventry and Portsmouth join Doncaster in League One next season. Are you surprised to see the likes of Coventry and Portsmouth slip through the trapdoor?
No, not really. I mean, Coventry have been down there all season. It's been a real struggle on and off the pitch for them, obviously. We know about that. Let's be honest. Portsmouth, you give them the 10 points back and they go in with a shout next week. And I think what would have been interesting is particularly their fixture, which would have been Nottingham Forest away, because that would have obviously put Forest back into the relegation mire, along with Portsmouth. So it would have been an interesting game. As it stands, it's meaningless. But as I say, I mean, Portsmouth take 10 points off on any side, and it's going to be tough.
You'd like to hope that those clubs will hang on to their young stars to build the future around them. But obviously their fate was decided by events at Ashton Gate. Good win for Bristol City against Barnsley. And it was nice to see, I suppose, that first goal from City coming from a homegrown player like Cole Skuse.
Definitely. I mean, it was a super finish. I mean, Barnsley probably would have been one of the top of your wish list to play in this game, because their run of form of late hasn't been great. But this is a well-worked goal. And in the end, he gets a little bit on top of it, digs it out and goes for accuracy over strike. As you can see there, his first, it hits the ground, but because it's an accurate shot, he controls the shot. Although it's not a great strike, finds the back of the net. Doesn't matter how it goes in there, as long as it goes in.
And you've got to give credit to Derek McInnes, because he came in with a job to do. That was to lead them to survival, and he's done that, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think they picked up something like 6 points out of 60 before he got there. Initially, he had a marvellous turnaround, and all of a sudden they plateaued off, a little bit of a dip. It looked as if they were going to be in trouble, but he stabilised again. And to be fair, I think I heard John Stead being interviewed after, and he was asked if was he elated to have stayed up. And he said, well, basically, he said the players we've got, we probably should have stayed up a lot more comfortably.
Bit of an anticlimax,
I think they realised that they probably have underachieved a little bit this year.
Well, as for the rest of the Championship, we start at Reading, who already knew they were Premier League bound as they welcomed Crystal Palace to the Medeski.
A sixth consecutive win on Tuesday meant Reading were back in the Premier League after a 4-year absence. Brian McDermott's boys were now looking to finish the season in the best possible manner as champions. However, the visitors hadn't read the script, and with just 14 minutes on the clock, the Eagles raced into the lead when Wilfried Zaha found the net for the first time in over 2 months, and a first Palace win in 8 attempts looked on the cards. It didn't take long, however, for the hosts to get back on level terms. Just 6 minutes after conceding, they equalised. Kasper Gork's third goal of the season, rounding off a spell of intense Reading pressure. But the visitors continued to threaten, and with Reading guilty of very un-Reading-like defending, Glenn Murray nearly capitalised, his effort coming back off the bar. Jason Roberts has been a revelation since joining the Royals on loan in January. However, on his 500th career appearance, he was to receive his marching orders for what the referee deemed an elbow on Jonathan Parr. And Roberts became the first Reading player to be sent off this season. Despite being down to 10 men, though, the hosts managed to take the lead. Adam Lafondra has scored 4 goals in his last 3 matches, all of them as a substitute, and he was at it again. But the Eagles levelled with just under 15 minutes left to play, Murray scoring his first goal in 2012. But Reading weren't to know that Southampton would lose later and give them the title. So McDermott certainly not downhearted at the final whistle.
Just kept going and going down to 10 men. It was really difficult. Referees made an honest mistake. It was an accident. We play for the supporters, we play for the fans, and they've had a fantastic season, and these guys have done us proud, absolutely proud. So I could not be prouder of the group.
Birmingham made the trip to the South Coast knowing a win would assure their place in the playoffs. 2 seasons ago, Chris Hughton successfully guided Newcastle to promotion, and the Blues will be hoping his experience will pay dividends as the season reaches its climax. Brighton haven't won in the last 6 games, a run of form which cut short any ambitions of reaching the playoffs, and they made the bright start, Will Buckley testing Colin Doyle. They had another opportunity moments later, but Joe Mattock couldn't find the target. Birmingham weren't offering much as an attacking force. The closest they did come to breaking the deadlock was through substitute Nathan Redmond. This was almost goal number 6 of the season. Into the second half, and against the run of play, the visitors took the lead. Redmond this time found his range and the target to give his team the springboard to cement their playoff position and extend their unbeaten run to 8 games. But having taken the lead, they couldn't hold on to it. Brighton earned themselves a deserved share of the spoils, with Ashley Barnes' 11th league goal of the season. But a draw was still good enough for Birmingham.
At the end of this season, which of course finishes next week, we wanted to be able to extend that by getting into the playoffs, and I think once we got into the top 6, it took us a good while because we were always playing catch up this season, but once we got in there was a real desire to want to stay in there, and that's what we've managed to do.
Now this is the way to travel to work. Blackpool chairman Carl Oyston arrived in style with his very own personal parking space, although the groundsman might not thank him for landing on the pitch. His manager Ian Holloway was looking to guide his side to victory over Burnley and secure their playoff place. Having won 2 successive promotions through the playoffs with Blackpool in 2010 and Swansea a year later, Stephen Dobbie's the sort of good luck charm you need, and his early goal settled any Blackpool nerves. And straight after the restart, Holloway's side's hopes of an immediate return to the top flight were given a huge boost as Gary Taylor-Fletcher doubled their advantage, and that playoff place well within their grasp now. Just after the hour saw the official go-ahead for the Tangerine Dream headlines to start. A very patient build-up eventually saw Stephen Craney score Blackpool's 3rd, although how it made it past Lee Grant only the Burnley keeper can answer. And the show wasn't yet over, as Blackpool further improved their goal difference and the chance to leapfrog Birmingham, with Wigan loanee Noah Diko adding a late 4th. Those dreams of a return to Old Trafford and Stamford Bridge still alive. Ian Holloway, a mightily relieved man at the final whistle.
Cool. At half-time I would have taken 1-0, let alone what happened in the second half, but full credit to my boys. I thought they were terrific, showed great belief in themselves, and produced a great performance. Now we've got 2 matches at least to try and have another go.
A lunchtime kick-off in South Wales gave Cardiff the chance to steal a march on their rivals and confirm their place in the players for the 3rd year running. Leeds started brightly, and Cardiff old boy Ross McCormack nearly punished poor marking from a Robert Snodgrass corner. Joe Mason's impressive performances this season saw him sign a 4-year contract extension earlier this week, and he marked it 4 minutes before half-time with his 9th league goal of the season. And it could have been even worse for Leeds moments later. Only some fine goalkeeping from Andy Lonergan stopped Kenny Miller doubling Cardiff's advantage. Mark Hudson had scored that spectacular goal with his right foot from his own half in the midweek win against Derby, but he couldn't keep his header this time on target from close range. Cardiff keeping the pressure up for a second goal. The home side almost wrapped up victory, and with it a guaranteed place in the top 6, when defender Andy Taylor tried his luck, but Lonergan was again alert to the danger. And that save proved crucial, because within minutes Leeds were level and Cardiff cursing a lack of concentration. Substitute Paul Connolly produced a teasing cross, and Luciano Becchio claimed his 11th goal of the season. It's 12 games unbeaten for Cardiff, but 2 points conceded at a crucial time of the season.
In the second half, Andy Taylor's hit a sweeter strike I'll never see, and probably Andy Lonergan's managed to get him the point with a save. It was a fantastic save for us to go 2-0 up. They scored a good goal themselves, but I could never see them scoring.
Following Cardiff's 1-1 draw with Leeds, Hull knew they wouldn't be able to make the playoffs this season. They welcomed a Nottingham Forest side who've guaranteed their championship survival in recent weeks. And it was the visitors who bossed the opening exchanges. They could have taken a lead, though Paul Anderson couldn't direct his header on target. Forest continued to look the more likely to break the deadlock after the restart. Radoslav Majewski's shot never looked like beating Vita Manoni, however. Instead, it was the hosts who made the breakthrough just before the hour mark. Chris Gunter, the unlucky party, there was nothing he could do here to avoid putting the ball into his own net. Hull were on track for back-to-back victories following their midweek win over Barnsley. But Forest rallied and went in search of a deserved equaliser. First, Lewis McGugan, then Andy Reid, and finally, Majewski were all denied as Hull stayed resolute. A run of 5 successive defeats last month is where Hull's playoff ambitions came unstuck. They were looking good for all 3 points here, however, when they were awarded a penalty. Luke Chambers brought down James Chester. Matty Fryatt took the spot kick. and made no mistake, his conversion taking his goal tally to 16 this season. With just under 10 minutes to go, Hull were 2-0 up. Into stoppage time now, and Forest finally got the goal their performance had merited. Majewski lashing in at the second attempt to reduce the deficit to 1 goal. It was too little, too late, however, and Hull ran out 2-1 winners.
Safe from relegation and unaffected by the playoff battle, Sean Dyche's Watford could have been forgiven for playing out time at London Road. But Peterborough liked to attack, and Paul Taylor caused enough problems for the Watford defence early on that Nyron Nosworthy eventually fouled him to concede a penalty. Cue Lee Tomlin, and he put the home side ahead with his 8th league goal of the season. Watford are facing their 6th campaign at this level, and Troy Deeney's recent form will encourage hopes of mounting a possible challenge for the playoffs. A case of right place, right time there to equalise against a static home defence. His 9th league goal of the season. It was also goal number 77 scored at London Road this season, a total only equalled at Bramall Lane. John Eustace thought he'd added another. But it wasn't long before goal number 78 did arrive and the visitors scored it. Sean Murray hadn't even celebrated his first birthday when Watford last won at London Road in 1994. The Football League's Young Player of the Month for March scored 3 minutes after the restart. But if there's one thing that Peterborough do, it's score goals. Paul Taylor's future remains uncertain, but his aim is true. A further hint to potential buyers, perhaps. Peterborough might even have snatched a late victory, but Craig Alcock rattled the bar, not the back of the net. Good entertainment, but points shared.
Come on, you Lions! Come on!
With the playoffs out of reach and relegation avoided, you might have expected Ipswich and Millwall's clash at Portman Road to have that end-of-season feel to it. But Millwall have won their last 4, and it took them only 3 minutes to go in front here. Andy Keogh with his 8th league goal since joining Millwall in January. That was the 139th goal in matches Ipswich have played this season. Paul Jewell's side have scored 67 themselves, but Michael Chopra just failed to add to that tally. And if Ipswich needed confirmation that their luck was out, it came after the break, as Paul Robinson turned Chopra's cross onto the post before recovering well to steer Jason Scotland's attempt off the line. In contrast to their opponents, Ipswich hadn't won any of their last 4. Their chances of ending that run looked remote when Liam Trotter increased Millwall's lead just after the hour with a goal that showed the visitors at their best. The Tractor Boys were given a lifeline in the last 10 minutes when Jack Smith brought down Andrew Drury to concede a penalty. But now, into his 40s, goalkeeper Mike Taylor gave notice he's not ready for retirement by saving not only Grant Ledbetter's kick, but also the follow-up. Within minutes, Millwall had confirmed their superiority by adding a 3rd goal, with Keogh again on target. The Lions, the only championship club so far to collect maximum points in April.
Yes, turning out to be a great end to the season for Millwall and Kenny Jackett with 5 wins in a row. Congratulations to Reading, it has to be said. They've won the title. In the end, the draw happened to be enough against Crystal Palace. What a year, Steve, it's been for them.
Well, incredible. When you think about what happened in the playoffs last year, I don't think anyone will begrudge them this success. I mean, absolutely fantastic since the turn of the year. Been the form side. And let's be honest, in the last month, there were a lot of questions asked. There were some big games that they've had to play. West Ham away, Brighton away, Southampton away, and they've managed to find the answer in all of those. So, hey, as I said before, you cannot begrudge them their success this year.
It's interesting because, like Reading, Blackpool began the season with a bit of a hangover after relegation from the Premier League. They started slowly, didn't they? But they cemented their place in the playoffs like 2 seasons ago. Yeah. Stephen Dobbie continues this great affiliation with the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of the dangerous live wires, aren't they, in the playoffs? You know, where you're not quite sure what you're going to get from them, but they've got a player there, I think, who can step into a side, and particularly the way that Blackpool play, they can accommodate that type of player because they get the ball down, they pass the ball. He plays in between the lines. He plays just off the front player. He gets the ball down and he makes people play. And what he does is he asks questions of the opposition, and with regard to how do you pick him up and where do you play against him. And I think as well, someone who can get the ball and just make that difference like he can with that extra little bit of quality has proved a really good addition.
Huge credit too to Birmingham. It's been a monumental effort to reach the playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, you can remember start the season with the Europa Cup, and everyone's saying they can't take that and the league. And the league. But to be fair, I think that was almost, a couple of good results in the Europa Cup set their league form alight, and from that they've had a good season.
Yeah, they certainly have. To League One now, we start at the bottom of the table, where it's safe to say the scramble to stay afloat has been pretty frantic. What was certain, though, was that someone would fall through the relegation trapdoor on Saturday. The bottom three, Chesterfield, Exeter and Rochdale, all needed wins realistically to stand any chance of maintaining their League One status. Problem was, though, two of those three, Chesterfield and Rochdale, were actually playing each other. So that's where we begin our basement roundup.
One way or the other, it was always going to end in tears at the B2 nets. Whoever lost was condemned to relegation. Both sides would have gone if results elsewhere went against them. A tense and goalless opening 73 minutes told its own story before Rochdale Jean-Louis Akpa-Akpro put Dale ahead. But Chesterfield are making a habit of defying the odds. From the moment relegation looked inevitable, the Spirites have started to win. Scott Bowden was the first of two super subs who made it 3 in a row for John Sheridan's side. With the draw no good to them, Rochdale lost heart. Moments later they stood and watched Frank Musa's 85th minute efforts. Danny Whittaker was much more alert. He ensured that with 2 games remaining, Chesterfield could yet record an escape worthy of Houdini. It was left to Rochdale to reach for the hankies. They returned to the 4th tier after 2 seasons in League One. 5 defeats in 7 sealed the fate of John Coleman's side, who had no doubt as to the reason for their demise.
What's ultimately put us down since I've been at the club is the inability to win away from home, and you wouldn't get a better chance than we had today. 1-0 up and absolutely coasting.
It was just vital that we won, really. The 3 points were crucial. To be fair, on the day I thought Rochdale were the better team and we're quite fortunate to win the game, but the players showed a bit of grit, determination. The manager made a couple of good substitutions that changed the game, both of them scoring. But as you say, it's just about winning games at this stage of the season.
Nothing but a win would be good enough for Exeter City. Anything else spelled relegation. And they fell behind on the half hour when Walsall's Alex Nichols fired the ball across Lenny Pidgley and into the net. Before this, Exeter shared the unwanted award of the lowest scorers in the league, just 39 in 43 games. All that was about to be turned on its head. First, Daniel Nardiello gave them some hope 5 minutes into the second half, after Alan Gow's shot was brilliantly saved by David Groff. But back came the Saddlers, who needed points themselves to ensure survival. Belgian midfielder Florent Cuvelier put them in front again with his 3rd goal of the season. But Exeter wouldn't give up, and their chances of a remarkable fight back were helped when Manny Smith was shown a 2nd yellow card by referee Roger East for this challenge on Nardiello, with 25 minutes still to play. Now, Alan Gow had been playing for East Bengal in the Indian League and almost went to play in Iran. Exeter were delighted he chose them with this lovely chip to bring them level. 8 minutes later, he was at it again. Elliot Freer made progress down the left, and the former Rangers striker finished in style to give the Grecians the lead for the first time. And they weren't finished. After a spot of wrestling and a spot of after you, there was still time for James Sercombe to add a 4th and leave Exeter with an outside chance of avoiding the drop.
I suppose the pivotal moment was the sending off, which got us back into the game numerically, but having conceded the 2nd goal, when we thought we were back in it, back to 1-0, conceded a very poor 2nd goal, I was really looking at the players and thinking, are you going to keep doing the right things? And they did. So we played with purpose, we played with a fair bit of ability, and I think we deserved our win.
With promotion already in the bag, Charlton had one last piece of business to take care of. Jan Kermorgant's perfectly placed free kick pointed the way to victory over Wycombe. But their route to the League One title was far from comfortable. Ben Hamer did well to keep out Scott Bevan, who continued to lurk with intent. Matt Bloomfield waited for support to arrive, and Marvin McCoy sent over the cross that Wycombe's leading scorer stuck away brilliantly. Bevan's 24th goal of the season threatened to ruin Charlton's day, but the home fans got what they came for with just 15 minutes to go. Johnny Jackson stole possession before playing in Danny Haynes, and the substitute made an immediate impact by swinging over a cross which Kermagant steered into the path of Dale Stephens. His fourth of the campaign, crowning a spectacular season for the London club, who will go up as champions. A fifth successive win puts the trophy in the cabinet and ensures Charlton return to the Championship in style after a 3-year absence. And you get the feeling that this could be the start of an exciting journey under Chris Powell.
After 5 defeats in a row and Orient only 3 points clear of the drop zone, bums were certainly squeaking at the Matchroom Stadium. Step forward Kevin Lisby. The O's top scorer gave them every chance of securing 3 points that would have more or less guaranteed safety. When Jamal Campbell-Rice teed up Lisby's second of the match, the O's were sitting pretty. But some ugly defending ensured that Orient remained gripped by anxiety. On 82 minutes, Andy Williams pulled one back after Orient failed to clear a free kick. And there was worse to come. An injury-time corner found the home side in similar disarray. Jonathan Obika extending Orient angst for at least another week.
Oldham still had relegation fears, but when Robbie Simpson headed home Felipe Moraes' free kick 20 minutes from time, it gave them some much-needed breathing space. Preston had nothing to play for but pride, but they equalised 10 minutes later. Thorsten Stuckman's long clearance was flicked on by Jamie Proctor, and Danny Mayer showed good skill to keep the ball in and crossed for Chris Holroyd to head home. But Oldham are safe.
Yeah, 2 clubs there with an eye on next season. So Rochdale are relegated after 2 years in the division. I mean, they spent an age to try and get in there, didn't they? But their chairman admitted not that long ago, too much has changed at the club in too little time, and it caught up with them eventually.
Well, it has, obviously, losing some very, very decent players start the season, ones that figured very prominently in their success last year, not really replacing them. You look at the size, the budget maybe, change of manager, none of this helps. As you said, things have just culminated in, unfortunately, getting relegated.
Their fate was determined by Chesterfield. 3 wins in a row now for John Sheridan's men. They've given themselves a fighting chance of staying up, haven't they?
They certainly have. I mean, what we have to remember is that there are 2 games left in this division, unlike the Championship, where there's only 1. So slightly more room for manoeuvre. We saw them in the JPT.
Yeah, and they looked
played really well. Yeah, and to be fair, all they've done is carried that form on. So I think we walked away from the game thinking, how are they down there? Well, now all of a sudden they're showing some form, and if they get relegated, they'll probably be kicking themselves that they've showed it just a fraction too late. However, there is a chance now.
Fans will also be thinking about Exeter, who live to fight another day, but of course they beat Walsall, which means now the Saddlers continue to hover just in and around that relegation zone.
Yeah, well, you've obviously got, this is a fantastic goal, but you've got Walsall and Leighton Orient because their goal difference is so bad. Exeter can catch them as well, so there are 2 teams in the equation, but their chances are slim, there's no doubt about that. But we've seen both Chesterfield and Exeter, certainly over the last month or so, get some very decent results.
So as Rochdale leave the division, very good luck to John Coleman in his effort to bounce straight back. As for the top of League One then, well, Charlton promoted as champions. What it meant was the race was still on to see who will be joining them. Sheffield United were the favourites going into the weekend, but must now, of course, try to finish the job without their top scorer, Ched Evans, who was jailed yesterday. In fact, they could still celebrate promotion on Saturday if they beat MK Dons, and Sheffield Wednesday lost to Carlisle.
A tough assignment for Danny Wilson's Sheffield United. A new victory at the MK Dons, coupled with a defeat for Sheffield Wednesday, would see them promoted. They never really got going. Alan Smith's first goal in 5 years had the playoff chasing Dons in front after 16 minutes. That was enough to send Carl Robinson's men to the break on top, and after it Smith could have doubled the lead, but Michael Doyle was perfectly placed to clear the danger. The Dons weren't safe yet. After all, United had come from behind in their 2 previous outings to land maximum points. Daniel Powell's strong-arm tactics on Matt Hill threatened to make life difficult. His dismissal left the Dons with 10 men for the final 20 minutes, but despite being a man down, they continued to cause problems. Jabu Abire left Harry Maguire in his wake before poking his shot against a post. Roared on by 6,000 travelling fans, the Blades almost snatched a point at the death, but James Beattie couldn't steer it goalwards. The race for second isn't over yet.
Yet to taste defeat under Dave Jones, Wednesday are determined to pit United to the post. Word of the Blades scoreline had already reached Hillsborough when Chris Lyons gave Wednesday the lead. The midfielder pouncing after Jermaine Johnson's shot was parried by Adam Collin. The Carlisle goalkeeper had an otherwise inspired afternoon, repeatedly denying Wednesday what could have been a comprehensive win. When Collin was beaten, Lubomir Mikulik proved a goal-line saviour. With time running out, it seemed fortune was favouring the Cumbrians. A deflection off the wall fell nicely for James Berrett, the Yorkshireman silencing Hillsborough with only 7 minutes remaining. But it was worth it for the pandemonium that greeted Mikel Antonio's 95th minute winner. Wednesday doing it the hard way, but pulling within a point of their arch rivals.
Listen, we'd have come in at 5-0 at half time. I don't think anybody would have been surprised. But when it's 1-0, set play, you know, that little break fell to them on the edge of the box after hitting the wall, and the lads drilled it in. But full credit to the boys, because they kept going, they kept believing, kept playing it right, and they got the rewards at the end of the day, because it would have been a travesty if we hadn't won the game.
Scunthorpe almost took the lead at the Gall Farm with this fierce free kick from Bobby Grant. Huddersfield's season has fizzled out in recent weeks. 3 consecutive defeats have left them consigned to the playoffs yet again. Scunthorpe manager Alan Nill thought his side dominated possession, but they were relieved to see this effort from Jordan Rhodes ruled out for offside. At the other end, Scunthorpe's Robbie Gibbons was then denied by a fine save from Ian Bennett. Grant couldn't force the rebound home, and so the game looked like ending in a goalless draw. That was until the very last minute of normal time, when Lee Novak broke through and scored his 15th goal of the season. But it's a 3rd consecutive playoff campaign for the Terriers.
A lunchtime date with Bury gave Notts County the chance to pull clear in the race for that final playoff position. A vicious strike from David Worrell had them trailing at the break. Straight from the restart, County were level. Alan Judge's cross turned into his own net by Giles Coke, even though Lee Hughes did his best to claim it. But Bury are finishing the season with a flourish and found a swift response. Mike Greller getting clear of John Harley to clip the Shakers back in front. The American scored the goal that all but sealed his side's League One status last time out, and he popped up in the right place to make absolutely sure midway through the second half. That meant the home side had to pull out all the stops. Mike Edwards crashed them back into contention with 11 minutes to play. And when Andrai Jones was dismissed for bringing down John Harley, their hopes of turning it round were given a timely boost. But as Keith Curle's men pushed bodies forward in search of an equaliser, they left themselves open to the counter-attack. Deep into stoppage time, Mark Carrington raced clear to guarantee his side another season of League One football. But County's hopes of a top 6 finish are now in the balance.
As heroic failures go, Brentford's defeat at Stevenage will take some beating. When Clinton Morrison was brought down, the Bees were awarded a 34th minute penalty. Clayton Donaldson has had an inconsistent season in front of goal. This wasn't one of his better moments. The striker thought he'd made amends in the second half when he was fouled for a second Brentford penalty. But Donaldson wasn't allowed to take this one. Sam Saunders stepped up and soon wished that he hadn't. Victory would have seen the Bees leapfrog their hosts into the last playoff spot, but almost inevitably, moments after that second penalty miss, Stevenage took the lead. Craig Reed with a tidy finish on 52 minutes. With Brentford still thinking about what might have been, Luke Freeman made sure that the Borough would climb into the top 6. The Bees weren't entirely hopeless with the dead ball. Sam Saunders restored a measure of pride with this free kick, but with the playoffs now 5 points away, he and Brentford opted not to celebrate.
With both sides safe in mid-table, Bournemouth took the lead when Wes Thomas didn't interfere with play, and Sean McDonald raced through to score.
Bournemouth almost doubled their lead in the second half. Wes Thomas just couldn't connect from close range. It was good to see the crowd in end-of-season party mood, and Colchester added their own contribution 6 minutes from time. From a corner on the left, Michael Rose crossed for Tom Eastman to equalise.
A meeting of two teams floating around in mid-table. Tranmere had the edge by half-time, courtesy of a smart finish from John Welsh. The chance of a Hartlepool equaliser looked slim, given they'd only found the net 3 times in 9 previous outings. But Anthony Sweeney skipped his way through to level the scores with 20 minutes left. And when Ryan Noble raced clear, their 4-match winless streak looked destined to end. Owen Von Williams blocked off his route to goal, and after initially showing red to Ian Goodison, the keeper headed for an early shower. That paved the way for Andy Coughlin to make his bow in the Tranmere goal. Neil Austin almost made it a debut to forget for the replacement stopper, but the post spared his blushes.
Yeah, so the points shared at Prenton Park. Very well done to Charlton Athletic. They win the League One title. Steve, what an effort to end the season, albeit they've got a couple of games left, but 5 wins in a row at this stage is some effort.
And that is after going 5 games and only winning 1 of those 5, and the gap sort of started to close a little bit. So to be up there all year and then find those sort of reserves and those energy levels to go again like they've had to, and as I say, put this division then to bed with those 5 defeats. Fantastic.
Great effort from Chris Powell and his men. As for the race for second between the 2 Sheffield clubs, it intensifies further. Last week we saw United take the initiative. This time Wednesday are back in it.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, Alan Smith's first goal for 5 years, what a time to get it, you know, for Sheffield United. They'll be cursing him. And obviously the other game, you talk about pivotal and salient moments in your season when you look back, and obviously Antonio here, 95th minute. Gap's down to 2 points now, and all of a sudden it's game on again.
1 point the gap, actually.
1 point.
Yeah, we can confirm that by looking at the league table now. It is a fantastic end to the season as far as this division's concerned, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry, I meant 1 point, but the better goal difference is in effect
makes it virtually 2.
Is 2 points,
yeah.
Yes. So they've got to make up that amount of ground. It's look, it's very difficult because, you know, 2 games left. We've seen how it can change very, very quickly. It's just about you applying yourselves.
No Ched Evans for Sheffield United for the last 2 games. This is the run-in as well without them. I mean, where does it leave them? It's a big blow, isn't it?
Well, I mean, obviously, you look. If you're Sheffield United, they haven't scored today. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. You look around your dressing room, and what that will do to the psyche of the dressing room, with regard to, you know, no Ched Evans there. You know, him and Jordan Rhodes have really torn this division apart with the goals that they've scored.
OK, to League 2 now, and to Swindon Town, where issues off the field this week threaten to take the gloss of what could be a momentous week for the club. Paolo Di Canio's side went into the weekend's games just needing a single point to secure an instant return to League One. Although if either Crawley or Torquay failed to win their games, the Robins would go up anyway. Swindon went to Gillingham in search of that all-important point.
He's rarely been far from the headlines, but as Paolo Di Canio stands on the verge of professional success, it's also been a season of immense personal sadness for the Swindon Town manager. 7 months ago he lost his father, and then straight after last weekend's win over Plymouth he went back to Rome for his mother's funeral.
What's gone on with his family and everything, people need to understand he's been through a phenomenal amount, but he'd never use that as an excuse. He wouldn't want anybody feeling sorry for him. And when people see him over here, it's to talk about football and focus on football, and that's what he wants.
When Swindon went to Aldershot on Tuesday night, a minute's silence in her honour was immaculately observed by supporters of both sides. The game that followed gave Swindon the opportunity to secure their promotion, but after a 2-1 defeat, Di Canio tore into some of his players for going on a night out last weekend. Paolo done the right thing in chastising the players after what they did last weekend?
Definitely right, because it's what, first of all, he did bring the discipline into the club, and it was dialed up, and they go and do something silly like that.
But the players let us down at the end of the day, and he should just stamp it out.
Gaffer's made his feelings clear. I think the perpetrators are aware of what they can and can't do now. and we'll look to try and get a positive result.
Mark, I had a kid on the Saturday and we beat Plymouth, which other than goal difference kind of put out, so it was a bit naive of us.
If we could do the job today, then I think maybe not in the gaffer's eyes, but in a lot of people's eyes it would all be forgotten about, and we can go and celebrate and enjoy the occasion of promotion.
And so it's at Gillingham's Priestfield Stadium that Swindon hope to seal their fate, and a game that might have taken place behind closed doors after a dispute over policing costs.
There was a lot of sort of stuff going on that we secretly thought would all get sorted out beforehand, and it has been sorted out. And obviously you can't have a game without any fans. It'll be a full house, I'm sure, here. These are always feisty affairs with Gillingham. I'm sure it'll be a great game. They've still got a lot to play for. I mean, they've got a genuine chance of still getting into the playoffs. We want to get things sorted out today, so yeah, I always felt the game was going to take place and hopefully that we're going to win it.
Swindon's quest for that precious point hit the skids just before the half hour. Danny Kedwell's looping header had the leaders sweating. His 14th of the campaign gave Gillingham just the lift they needed, with their playoff hopes hanging by a thread. Lewis Montrose went close to inflicting further damage, with Swindon relieved to hear the half-time whistle. The Kent club started the second half just as strongly, Chris Weltdale shrugging off Simon Ferry's challenge before chipping home a beauty. That meant Swindon's promotion party was firmly on hold, unless they could find some inspiration from somewhere. Alan McCormack's determination briefly raised hopes of a recovery. That left Paolo Di Canio's men just 9 minutes to find that crucial equaliser, but when Curtis Weston was sent tumbling in the box, there was no way back. Weltdale did the business from the spot, but Swindon could still be celebrating if Torquay or Crawley were to drop points.
Things didn't look too clever for Swindon when Charlie Wasmer gave Crawley an early lead at Dagenham and Redbridge. The youngster has made no secret of his problems with the departed Steve Evans. Now back in the first team, Wasmer gave Town every reason to celebrate after just 18 minutes. But another young player had a crucial say in this one. The name Billy Bingham certainly has a footballing pedigree. His great strike confirmed the Daggers will extend their stay in League Two. It also cost Crawley, who couldn't produce a winner in the second half. The usually prolific Gary Alexander looked well placed to get it, but he hit the scoreboard instead of getting on it.
Even if Crawley had won, Torquay were doing Swindon a favour at Wimbledon. Their form on the road is good, and Ian Morris should have given them the lead after hesitation in the Wimbledon defence. That was in the sunshine, then it started to rain, and rain, and rain. Substitute Rashid Yusuf didn't mind the change in the weather, giving the home side the lead with just 12 minutes left. 6 minutes later, the rain had stopped, but Torquay's woes continued, when George Moncur made room for a left-foot shot to keep the goals in fourth, a point behind Crawley.
It's difficult to celebrate for many reasons, but most important things because I want to finish as a champion, and then because already I'm thinking about the future. So it's obvious that for 10 minutes I can relax a little bit more, enjoy with the fans and the player, because during the season they're suffering together and they deserve this moment. And I'm happy to be a part of the group that bring back up this club in League One and hope for the future, maybe in Championship.
I got to ask you, of all you've achieved in your football career, where does this rank, Paolo?
But it's a very good level, because first here as a manager, arrive at Wembley in JPT final and go up at the first attempt, I think is something, if not unique, really special.
He's got the club straight back up with the first chance of asking, and credit to him, his first year in management. I think we've had about 35 different players this year, so it's credit to the players as well, and they've managed to bond. Unless it's a great moment, it's a great moment for the fans as well.
Now you can celebrate. How's that feel?
It's a great feeling, obviously, but I think the boys are a bit down that we never played too well. But I think we've been brilliant all season.
Well, that's what it's all about.
Exactly, we've had hitting a little sticky patch now, but the boys have been excellent. They deserve this so much.
Yeah, very well done to Swindon. So they're back in League One after just a year away. Has Paolo Di Canio surprised you in his first year as a manager, Steve?
No, I mean, we all know that at that level Swindon are a very decent football club. He inherited some good players, added to them, made one or two signings start the season, didn't work out, but had room to manoeuvre. They backed him. He's got a decent budget. You add all those equations together, and it makes for a successful side, and he's done his job very, very well.
There's been a lot going on at the county ground the last few days. The Italians clearly showed that he's not a man to be crossed, but also he's not afraid to make big decisions, even in crucial games like the one against Gillingham.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think players have admitted, and rightly so, they've apologised. They were, unprofessional in what they did last Saturday. You don't go out on a Saturday if you've got a midweek game. And I think everybody realises that it's probably one of those rules at the club, maybe unwritten or whatever, that people adhere to. Yeah. So they've let themselves down in a way. They've also coincided with them losing games of football, which doesn't help either, does it?
Nonetheless, congratulations to Swindon Town. Well, as for the rest of League Two, with Swindon promoted, and as we saw earlier, both Crawley and Torquay dropping points, that meant that Shrewsbury would be promoted along with the Robins if they could beat Accrington Stanley.
Shrewsbury took a large following to the Crown Ground, hoping to win automatic promotion. And Terry Gornell had them in raptures when he gave them the lead just past a half hour with this shot on the turn. The Shrews were on top and almost added a second when Aaron Wildig's shot came back off the crossbar. Then Accrington nearly equalised when Luke Joyce's effort bounced off the goal frame. In the second half, the home side pressed for an equaliser. Chris Neal saving Podrick Amon's close-range effort and being rewarded with a kiss on the head from Jamie Devitt. Sweet. The Shrews were still on target for promotion until 12 minutes from time when the veteran Brian Hughes equalised with this excellent drive from outside the box.
Martin Allen says he's prepared for a backlash after returning to Barnet for a third spell. His decision to leave them last season left a sour taste, and this won't have done him much good in the popularity stakes either. Bill El-Mojni reacting quickest to give Southend the lead just 11 minutes in. That took the French defender's tally for the season into double figures, and when he met Ryan Hall's corner midway through the half, Barnet were in big trouble. And they were finished just 7 minutes later. The same corner kick routine set up Mojni for a stunning first half hat-trick, which confirms his side's place in the playoffs.
Crewe's David Artell might be the world's only footballer with a degree in forensic biology, but it doesn't take a genius to work out what his overhead kick does for Crewe's promotion prospects. The Railwaymen move into the playoff places for the first time this season after a comfortable win. Steve Phillips' save from Ben Burgess was one of very few scares against fellow promotion contenders Cheltenham.
It's been a testing season for Plymouth, but a win against Oxford would secure their Football League status. Robbie Williams hit just the right note just 2 minutes in. And their playoff chasing opponents could have been in even bigger trouble. Wayne Brown did brilliantly to stop Luke Young from doubling the lead. That excellent save proved crucial as Oxford got to the break all square. A peach of a strike from Asa Hall left Jake Cole clutching thin air. Early in the second half, Chris Wilder's team almost clinched maximum points. Adam Chapman's free kick beating everybody, but not the post. A point not enough then to keep Oxford in the playoff places, but results elsewhere meant it was enough to keep Plymouth in League Two.
Steve Evans was given a guard of honour and a warm welcome as he took charge of his first home game as manager of Rotherham. The Millers started the day 5 points off the playoff places and took the lead when leading scorer Lewis Graben, a player Evans tried to sign when he was at Crawley, scored with a shot which actually broke the netting. 8 minutes later, Morecambe will level, thanks to this shot on the turn from Jordan Burrow. Now Graben's first goal broke the net. Rotherham's second from Jason Taylor didn't, but his shot certainly had plenty of power behind it. Then a moment of controversy in the South Yorkshire sunshine. Ryan Cresswell was penalised for this challenge on Danny Carlton. Referee David Webb then produced a second yellow card for the Rotherham defender. And Morecambe's Jack Redshaw equalised from the penalty spot. But that man Graben had the final word in stoppage time. Now if his first effort broke the net, then why didn't this one? Rotherham could still make the playoffs, but it's highly unlikely.
Most neutrals had Burton versus Aldershot down as typical end-of-the-season fare, but it seems that memo didn't reach Dean Holdsworth's men. They took the lead through Peter Vincenti just after the quarter hour. Having defeated Swindon in the week, the shots swarmed all over Burton. There aren't too many Namibia-born Germans playing in League Two these days. Wilco Rissa fits that description though. He popped up to nod Aldershot further ahead. A late brace from Guy Maggio capped off a great week for the Shots. Not such a wonderful 7 days for the Brewers though. They've now conceded 11 goals in 2 matches and it seems can't wait for the season to finish. Not so Aldershot, for whom Maggio has 3 goals in his last 2 outings. If they can continue their progress under Holdsworth, Aldershot could be a good bet for promotion next season.
Bristol Rovers were a shadow of the side that put 7 past Burton last time out. Just the 1 goal settled this contest. Mark Richards getting on the end of Sean Riggs' cross to open the scoring. The striker on target just as he was in Vale's win in the reverse fixture back in October, and the destination of the points were never really in doubt this time, especially when Tom Parks went lunging in on Chris Shuker. Any hopes of a recovery looked to have disappeared with him, and that left Mark McGee's team with 10 men for the entire second half. Elliot Richards almost caught out Joe Davis, who was no doubt relieved to see the ball go wide. Vale's margin of success would have been greater. Doug Loft brought out the very best of Scott Bevan.
After 15 years in the Football League, Macclesfield's future now looks uncertain. They almost fell behind when Jose Vega saved from Naki Wells, Kyle Reid firing the rebound over the bar. Mac have gone 20 league games without a win, and the closest they came to scoring was when Colin Daniel fired just wide. Bradford weren't entirely safe themselves, but their league status was secured 20 minutes into the second half. Craig Fagan's free kick met by James Hansen and helped over the line by the distraught Ben Mills. Late on, Ricky Ravenhill almost added a second. Mac are now rock bottom of the league, 3 points adrift of safety.
Barnett's defeat on Friday night gave Hereford the chance to climb out of the bottom 2, but like Tom Barkhausen in the first half, the Bulls couldn't take their chance. A tame encounter at Edgar Street saw Adebayo Akinfenwa go closest for the Cobblers, his flicked effort clipping the post. Northampton only needed the draw to secure their Football League status for next season. Clark Carlisle did his bit, clearing off the line from Nicky Featherstone. The same player came even closer in injury time, the most agonising of near misses for the Bulls, who will hope it doesn't come back to haunt them.
So Hereford just about hanging in there with 2 games remaining. So this is how it looks then at the bottom of League Two, with the run-in in terms of the 3 teams looking to avoid the 2 places. Yeah. How do you see it panning out?
Well, on the face of it, you look at Barnet, and they've got the easiest run in 2 sides with very little to play for. Hereford,
it's a terrible run.
It's a nightmare. Yeah. Crawley and Torquay both going for automatic. And Macclesfield, obviously, tough game at Southend, and another side to play Burton, as we said, mid-table. So a mixture. You've got to say Hereford, on the face of it, have the toughest task.
At the top end, meanwhile, Crewe find themselves in the playoff positions for the first time this season. They couldn't have timed it any better.
No, I mean, I was at a function the other day. Steve Davis was there, and he said, obviously, we've got Cheltenham, and he was looking forward to it. I've got to say, not arrogant, not cocky, but confident. You know that he's got enough there to get the right results, and that was proven the correct assumption.
Yeah, unbeaten in 14. They're on a terrific run, and you can see them there in 7th place. The battle for 3rd is looking interesting, isn't it? You think Shrewsbury are all but there now? Yeah, I think, and as we said about last week, and rightly so. And it's good to see that they've had their chance and they've taken it this year after what happened to them last year. So good luck to them. And Crawley, Torquay, and Southend, everything's still to play for. Big win for Southend on Friday, wasn't it? With Mosney getting a hat-trick. Yeah, massive win. You would have expected them to win that. There's no doubt about that. But they've been in the automatic promotions for a little while this season. So they'll be sort of maybe a tad disappointed if they do miss out. But they've still got a little, as I say, 2 games. Yeah, things can still change around. OK, then, so to recap, this is what it all means as far as the tables are concerned. At the top of NPower League 2, Swindon secure promotion after just 1 season, despite that defeat to Gillingham. Shrewsbury's draw means they still need 2 more points to join the Robins. Crawley are now 3rd, a point ahead of Torquay, who lost. Southend's big win on Friday means they still have an outside chance of automatic promotion. Crewe's remarkable recent run sees them in the playoff positions, as we mentioned, for the first time this season. Macclesfield, who are still without a win this year, find themselves bottom of League 2 for the first time this campaign. Hereford's point closes the gap between them and Martin Allen's Barnet, while Bradford, Dagenham, Redbridge, Northampton and Plymouth all secure their League 2 status. Charlton are the NPower League 1 champions and will now be targeting 100 points, while the battle for second still goes on as Sheffield United lose and Wednesday claim a late win. MK Dons and Huddersfield are level on points, while Stevenage sit in that last playoff spot replacing Notts County, with the Magpies, Carlisle and Brentford looking to capitalise on any slip-ups. At the bottom, Rochdale are relegated and will now be playing League 2 football next season after their defeat. Exeter's and Chesterfield's late fight back means they both still have an outside chance of survival. Wickham lost but are still just 3 points away from Walsall. Orient's point means they're all but safe. At the top of the Championship, well, Reading are the champions after Southampton lost at Middlesbrough. West Ham sit in 3rd and need to win at Leicester on Monday to keep up their hopes for automatic promotion. Blackpool have secured their playoff spot, while Birmingham are all but there as well. As for Middlesbrough, their win over Southampton means they still have a chance of leapfrogging Cardiff. At the bottom, Bristol City's win condemns Portsmouth and Coventry to League 1 football next season, with Portsmouth's 10-point deduction really costing them at the end. Now, before we sign off, the usual reminder, the show is on the red button till 8:30 and on Freeview till 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. It's also on the iPlayer all week. And if you're after extended match highlights of each game, you'll be able to see them on the BBC Sport website. Right, there's more football coming your way over the next couple of days. Match of the Day 2 on Sunday night will have highlights of all the weekend's Premier League action, including leaders Manchester United against Everton. Then on Monday, late kick-off will round up the news and views from the NPower Football League in your region from 11:05 on BBC One. And we're back next Saturday with action from the last day of the Championship season, and we get underway at 5 to midnight, also on One. Well, that's it. Thanks to Steve and to you for staying up. Have a great week. Good night.